Hello?
Hello, Mr. Hussein. It's
Yes.
Irina from Complaints.
Yes, hello. I've got obviously there's been further developments, so I'll now have to lodge them as complaints as well, but I'll try to be as swift as I can. But before I begin, can you tell me if there's been any updates regarding my outstanding issues regarding the complaint I raised in September?
Uh, uh, which complaint, sorry? There's no complaint in September. What you ask about the recordings, is that what
Yes,
you
yes,
mentioned?
yes.
But that wasn't a complaint, that was an inquiry.
Um,
Because you wanted to know what was the position of
was it
officers in terms of being recorded.
Was there not the case that you told me that one of the complaints could not be progressed because obviously it was regarding when I had made an application on behalf of a family member to get a disabled badge. And
All right, see what you mean. Yes, that's right. Yes, that was pending the confirmation from the legal about the recordings. Yes, you are right.
yes,
No, I haven't heard anything yet, so obviously
okay,
that complaint is still on hold.
that's right. Yeah, so that is still an outstanding complaint that can't be progressed until your legal get back to you.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So there's been no progress on this now.
No, as I said, I'm still waiting for confirmation. Yes.
Okay, all right. But you can understand that obviously this is now becoming a serious issue because it's just being dragged on. It's causing a lot of other problems as a consequence, which I would like to discuss with you today. But I would just like to keep our conversation very focused on what my original purpose of my complaint was. Now, I had arranged to speak to yourself last Friday, not this Friday gone, but for the previous Friday regarding allegations that I was being coerced into committing criminal activity from one of your care workers. Yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you wanted to discuss with me. That's
Yes.
right.
So and in addition to this, then I will obviously be presenting yourself with further evidence, and that evidence then I will be looking to utilize as a second part of my complaint, which is that I have. I have made a subject access request and had to pay money for this, and the information that I was told was not given, and yet this information does exist, and should have ideally been given to me as part of my subject access request, because obviously I have a copy of this information, and when I have made a subject access request requesting all information, I was told by the department that no information regarding you exists, and yet clearly I will be, I will be showing you that clearly evidence does exist, and therefore you've charged me £70 for a subject access request and then failed to deliver that information. So that will be the second part of my complaint. Okay.
Mr. Hussein, if you remember, I can't deal with subject access requests and complaints about subject access requests. We've mentioned that in the past. That is an information governance team matter, and if you are not satisfied with the way they handle it, then it's an ICO, Information Commissioner Officer.
Yeah.
So I can't progress that complaint if that's what. And we discussed this in the past, as you know.
Okay, well, and I understand this, but you can put that in writing to me. All I want at this stage, I'm just trying to put a complaint through. I want it lodged as a complaint. You can reply to me that I want it in writing that you're not willing to deal with this.
Mr. Hussein, but I've put it in writing in the past.
Have you?
Many times, yes, many times, because you remember with first few complaints that we put in writing, and if I remember correctly, that was on the responses that this is up to the Information Commission, Information Governance teams, and that will be the ICO that did that, and
yes.
we referred you in writing to the ICO.
I know, I understand, but that was not regarding this complaint, though.
It doesn't matter. It's an ICO matter.
Look, I understand this, but my job is to raise a complaint. Your job is to take the complaint at this stage and then respond to it.
No, but I can't only take complaints that I can deal with. I cannot take complaints about things that I can't deal with. And so my role at the moment is to advise you that I cannot take that complaint on. Okay, because then you might want to make a decision about take the complaint somewhere else where they can.
Okay, all right. Look, I mean, my job is to sort of send in a complaint and to get something in writing back. So if you're not willing to take a complaint today, I will write it down and send it in a writing response. And all you need to do is respond to it by saying, well, I'm not going to deal with it. I don't want anything, because obviously you can understand I'm recording this conversation, but it's not formal, because you're not accepting that I can record this conversation. So in order for it to be, I'm ringing up today to lodge a complaint. In order for you to refuse me, you have to do it in a formal process. and therefore I will be lodging that as a written complaint. And then all you need to do is say, Mr. Advisor, Mr. Hussain, I've advised you in the past, and I will once again remind you that I will not be dealing with this complaint, and I would advise you to go to the CEO. That's all.
But as we advise you in writing, I'm not even the right person to deal with this matter. If you remember, we advise you to send all that information to Mark St. Romain, who deals with the subject access request. So it's not even to me you need to send the email.
I'll CC Mark St. Romain into it, but the problem I'm having with Mark St. Romain is that he's taken a personal position of not responding to anything. So I've sent him subsequently information requests, tried to engaging him communication. To this day, I'm receiving nothing. So let's just not waste further time. I mean, you've advised me what your position is. I need to just know your position, and I need to know it in writing, because if you're telling me advising me over the telephone today, I can't take that advice on board until I have it confirmed that I can record this advice. Formally, we're still in this vacuum of where I'm recording conversations which you're not, there's still a grey area to. If, for example, you had listened...
But that's not affecting you. You're still recording. I'm still talking to you. I know. It's not affecting you.
It's not affecting me, but it has no legitimacy. See, the whole point is of legitimacy. All I'm trying to establish is legitimacy. I don't want to do things that are illegitimate. And by you giving me advice over the telephone, and not having an ability to document that formally, then it is not legitimate. That's the only reason. Otherwise, why am I insisting on having the constitution changed? All I'm looking to do is get legitimacy. I believe I'm within my rights to record. I fully express that. If your legal department are not looking to address this and basically kicking the can down the road and biding time, that's their position. Oh, I'm recording, but is that recording legitimate or illegitimate? And that's all I'm trying to establish.
Mr. Hussain, but you understand that the information I'm waiting for legal is the advice to officers of the council of how to deal with that. It's not an advice to you, because you are not a client of the legal department. If you need, and I mentioned that in the past, if you want legal advice on whether you can record or not, you need to look for your own legal advice.
And I have done so.
What we are waiting is for us officers to know what's our position, which is not exactly the same. We are not providing you legal advice to you.
And have I asked for legal advice? When have I asked for legal advice? I don't think your legal staff are competent enough to give legal advice. If they were my legal advisors, I would have sacked them a long time ago. I don't think they are competent to provide legal advice. I'm not ringing yourselves up to provide ask for legal advice. Remember, the purpose of me complaining and the resolution I was seeking was for the constitution to be changed. Okay, I'm not asking for legal advice. It is yourself that need to ask legal advice whether I am legitimate in my complaint or in my position. So that seems to be a delay that you've managed to put forward. Remember, my resolution is the fact that I'm complaining because I have a right to record. You're denying because your position is unclear. There's consequential effects that I'm suffering from, and I'm having to lodge them as complaints. And the only resolution I'm looking for is for the constitution to be amended.
I know, but what I don't understand is what the consequences are for you, because you are still recording the calls. I'm still talking to you, so it's not affecting you in any shape, way, or form.
Did I not mention the word legitimacy?
In which way? Because
do you know what
you are still using them. You are still using them, Mr. Hussain.
I know,
and nobody is doing anything about it. So it's not affecting you in any shape, way, or form. That's the bit I don't understand.
Of course it does. You understand legitimate and illegitimate. Like children are legitimate, or some children are born illegitimate. So I don't want to be digressing into a debate or a theoretical discussion.
No, that's correct, because otherwise we are digressing. And you wanted to raise a complaint about. You said that you.
No, Ms. Akis. Before, like I said, I don't want to be digressing into anything else. Like I said, this is something that you, the council, need to discuss. That the constitution needs to be changed in order to give me legitimacy. That's all. Ultimately, that's all. To sum it all up, just as like an overview. I'm presently, because I'm a carer and because my rights are not being recognized, I'm classed as illegitimate. All right, generally. In any legal context, I'm classed as illegitimate because I'm not an employee, I'm not a worker, I'm not in education, and therefore, fundamentally, my motivation or my underlying objective or reason for complaining, or the reason behind everything is all I'm looking to do is establish myself as being legitimate. And because I'm not legitimate in any context, I'm being persecuted and being badly affected for this. And so this is the underlying reason, the principle behind my reasoning of complaining to yourselves is because I'm looking to establish my legitimacy. And so therefore, by yourselves recognizing that I as a private citizen have a right to record, and that is documented through your documentation and policy as the council, that gives me a form of legitimacy. That's what I'm fighting for, Ms. Arcus. Is that understood?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, moving on to this complaint, the complaint I would like to lodge is regarding a care worker, a night-sitting care worker. Her name was Julie. Her name was Julie Weston.
Julie.
Julie Weston.
Sorry, Weston.
Yeah, Weston.
Weston.
Yeah, Weston. Yes. She provided a night-sitting service between 2005 to 2006. So that's the complaint period.
Mr. Hussein, we can only accept complaints that happen within a year.
I understand. I mean, this is the problem, because I was not in a position previously to highlight this to yourself, because the situation was that I was not free to do so.
Sorry, and why you couldn't make a complaint at the time?
I was compromised. It was a conflict of interest. Because this person was providing us with support services, because your local authority was still providing, there were ongoing other issues with the local authority. So it's not a clear-cut case where I was free or at liberty to lodge a complaint against somebody if I'm compromised.
Mr. Hussein, we receive complaints about social workers and workers in general that are involved in cases. That doesn't prejudice. That doesn't stop you making complaints at the time.
I understand, but you can understand, and I myself have lodged complaints whilst we've had social workers, but at that stage, in 2005, I had higher priorities. You can understand that I'm not here to highlight complaints to the local authority for their failures to their advantage. It wouldn't have served my advantage to do so, highlight it at any other stage other than now. Because at this stage, we have gone through a very lengthy court process. You've exhausted every other avenue, and therefore this now gives me a level of freedom to lodge complaints about certain incidences that have happened in the past. I appreciate that certain time has passed, but that does not change the fact that there was serious issues of concern that need to be addressed.
Well, it does make a difference, because we wouldn't be following our complaints procedure, which says we can only deal with complaints within a year. Okay,
but who's designed the complaints procedure?
Mr. Hussein, we're going to go around in circles. We are not going to change the complaints procedure.
I'm asking you a simple question. Who has designed the complaints procedure?
The complaints procedure is accepted by by the chief exec and the management team of the council.
So you've designed it?
I drafted it, but it's obviously been approved by higher management.
Sorry, when I say you, I mean you, the council. So you, the council, have designed it?
Yes.
Okay, for your purpose?
But the complaints procedure involves different complaints processes, and the ones for adult services and children's services are actually statutory procedures. Yeah. So that means the council is in law. It's not for the council to make up.
Okay, all right. So let me give you an example. Let's say I was sexually abused when I was 5 years old. All right. Now I was hypothetically, I'm saying this. I was 5 years old. 20 years later, now I'm 25. I look to lodge that as a complaint to you, that this care staff member abused me when I was 5 years old. Your reply is, I'm sorry, Mr. Hussein, but it didn't happen in the last year, and so therefore we're going to disregard it.
That's not correct, because we do take cases of historical sexual abuse very, very seriously, and we do investigate all of them.
Okay, all right. So clearly it's not, that can be outside of a year, can't it?
In those cases, yes. Are you saying that you have been sexually abused?
No, I try to understand. I gave you an example.
But yes? That's what I mean. So that's an extreme example, and that's exempted because, as I said, children's social care has different legislation than adult social care and the corporate.
I'm telling you that I'm trying to complain about historical criminality, right? Whether that criminality involves sexual abuse, all right, which still comes under the umbrella of criminality, or financial abuse, all right, which still comes under the umbrella of criminality. You're saying to me that if it was a normal complaint that I could lodge within a year, I understand that you have those procedures, but I'm looking to lodge a complaint regarding historic criminality. And the form of that criminality is financial abuse. And you're saying,
yeah,
sorry.
But when I ask you on why you couldn't make the complaint at the time, you say because you had other priorities.
No, I said I was compromised. Okay.
Because the person worked with your family.
Well, irrespective, why can't a 5-year-old complaint? Why do they have to wait until they're 25? All right, that's an analysis.
That's not the case. The case is what you could have made a complaint at the time, and that complaint was, you were very legitimate to make that complaint at the time, and the complaint would have been dealt with it.
I'm sorry, but
you can't make a complaint down the line because we can only deal with complaints within a year.
Because that's the way you've designed it. So you need to...
actually, and because the way the legislation says, in adult services, actually, the legislation says that complaints are only within a year, and the ombudsman follows the same rule. So it's not even the council.
So if there's any criminality taking place, you, the council, won't investigate if it's after a year, because because my understanding of the law is that there has to be like a statutory time period. All right, for normal civil cases, there has to be like a 3-year statutory time period. That's the only legislation I understand. There's a 3-year statutory statute of limitations is called. So there's a statute of limitations with regards to any civil proceedings. But with regards to any criminal proceedings, there is no statute of limitations.
But that's for the police to investigate, not for the complaint unit.
Well, it's one of your employees that was doing criminality at my house, all right, which I was compromised not to pursue further because, but first of all, it didn't serve my agenda at the time. If I'm receiving services from this individual, all right, it would have complicated the situation, and so I was not.
Sorry, are you saying that there was someone in your house, from the council going to your house, providing you services and committed crimes, and you thought that was not appropriate to report that at the time?
I'm sorry, but the reality is that I didn't say that she was coercing me into committing criminality, all right, because I was in a compromised situation. She was coming to my house, spending the night at my house, providing night sitting services, and then coercing me into committing financial, so she basically swindling money from the council, all right, and coercing me into this. So if she's coercing me into this, I'm like, you're a council employee. I really don't care. I don't even want you here. This is this is the level of complexity, you see. And eventually, she got me to give her night sitting tokens, and she said she's going to pay us, and she never bothered paying us, and did a legger. All right, and then subsequently, I could have reported her then to yourselves, but yourselves said that this person no longer wants to work with you, and we're going to start paying you direct payments now. So this was clearly an administrative failure on your part, of which my priorities, as you can appreciate, are the care and support of my family members, not to deal with the nefarious actions of your employees, which you can't manage.
Hello?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, sorry, I thought I missed you. Sorry. Go on.
I finished the sentence. I said, I'm not here. My priorities, as you can appreciate, if, for example, your care staff are coming in and let's just say embezzling £2, that from my, let's say, piggy bank, I'm not going to raise that as an issue because I know it's only £2. And I'm going to allow that to happen because there are higher priorities if I start rocking the boat, let's say. So this individual was coming down and getting me to commit financial abuse through your processes with the night sitting. And obviously, I didn't feel comfortable at the time to lodge this because I had been implicated in this. But it was not something that I had instigated. It was your night sitter, and it was support services that were ideally not appropriate. It was something that was forced upon me, and then a situation was then further being forced upon me, where an English lady would spend the night at our house, and obviously, therefore, a relationship developed, and then through that relationship, I was coerced into giving her night sitting tokens where she was not providing the services. All right, and then she said that we'll go 50-50 on the money that I get. Does that make sense?
Yes, sorry, I'm making notes. Yes.
Yes. So obviously, I find it's a very it's not a straightforward. As I've explained, if it was a straightforward thing, I would and I felt at liberty to do so, I would have complained. But because I've now been implicated in this, all right, it's not in my interest to complain. And this was your care worker that was coming to my house, and at one stage, it become so it became a point where she had bought her 12-year-old daughter to stay with us during one night session. All right. Now, if, for example, if we have a night sitting service and a lady's coming in to provide into our home, you understand that we have to necessarily have a cordial relationship with that person, because obviously that's now an extension of our family, because that person is regularly coming in to provide night sitting service, and therefore, sometimes when she's late, we'll say, okay, it doesn't matter. Or if she needs to take a day off, we'll say, yeah, it doesn't matter, because we're flexible in that regard. If she then turns up at our house one day saying, oh, I couldn't get a babysitter or a childminder, so I've brought my daughter along with me, and is it okay for her to stay the night as part of the sitting service? Now, would you like me to complain about that person at that stage? Because it doesn't.
Mr. Hussein, you have complained about social workers doing less things than that, or lesser things than that. So I still can understand why you couldn't report this person. All what would have happened, as you know, is that they would have changed the worker.
Yes.
So the service wouldn't have stopped.
Yes, it would have stopped, because you would have said, okay, we're going to suspend this service, but then you would have said, but we don't have anybody else on the books. That's ultimately what happened, number one. And number two,
how would you know? How do you know that that's what would have happened in 2005?
I was there at 2005. I know exactly how you operate. You were having difficulties getting a night sitter, and then eventually when she withdrew, you were not she herself withdrew. Okay, and then you were not in a position to get a new night sitter because your night sitting service was looking to be closed down. So you were struggling to get volunteers to provide night sitting services. So if I had rocked the boat in any way, you would have said, I'm sorry, but we've suspended this person, and until further notice, you will have to find somebody, because you didn't have anybody else readily available. Number one. Number two is that I didn't start complaining to the council until 2013. All right, that's when I was advised that you can utilize the complaints procedure. So my first complaint with your particular department didn't commence until 2013. And at 2005, I was not in a position to complain about care workers, but I had in the past complained about social workers, which hadn't resulted in anything. So you can understand why I would be compromised into having to deal with a bad situation.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm taking notes.
Okay, all right. So do you fully understand the complaint?
I do, but I still can't accept it, Mr. Hussein.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fair enough. And the reason that you can't accept it is because I'm sorry, I'm getting another call. I'll have to just leave that. So the reason that you can't accept it is because it's past the statutory time period of 1 year.
That's correct.
Okay, well, I would like you to note it down and give me a formal response.
I'm giving you a formal response. I'm saying that I can't accept it. Well, that's how you choose to communicate, Mr. Hussein.
But it's not the way that you choose to communicate.
I'm following you, Mr. Hussein. Do you want to deal with the complaints in writing on the phone?
Well,
because at the moment, I'm just following what you decide. If you want to discuss it on the phone, I'm giving you the response over the phone.
Miss Arcus, I've been very, very clear about this. I have a right to lodge my complaints verbally. Yes?
And exactly. So I'm telling you that we can accept the complaint.
Okay. I have a right to lodge the complaints verbally. You have accepted that you will take down the complaints verbally. Yes?
But that's what I'm saying. I am not accepting the complaint.
And I'm not accepting your responses verbally. I only accept your responses in writing. So what you're doing is you're taking two components and amalgamating them. You're taking the response and providing.
So let me see if I understand correctly, Mr.
Yes.
Hussein, because I need to be very clear.
Yes.
So, in order to talk about complaints, you ring me.
Yes.
We spend at least half an hour on the phone,
Yes.
and then you expect me to put it in writing, and then continue in writing. So, in effect, I'm doing the work twice.
No, you.
And do you? Yes, I am. I am doing it twice, because rather than send it on by email, I'm talking to you first, and then I'm putting in writing. So I'm doing the work twice.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Because
yes,
you're not
yes,
doing
it
any work.
is.
No, you're not. Let me clarify.
I'm spending more time dealing with this complaint.
No.
Yeah, yes, I am.
No, you're not. Look, I choose to disagree with you because part of the complaint process, the first part is that I could put something in writing. I could put all my complaints in writing to you, which helps you save your time. All right, and that's not my job. This is one of the reasons I'm saying it's more flexible for me to put things orally because I have a right to put things orally. If I was a child complaining, or if I didn't have the ability to write things down, then I'm within my rights to do things orally. Your job as a professional is to take
Mr.
down.
Hussein, you send me either directly or copy me something like 10 emails a week. So I am very clear that you are very proficient in writing you don't have any.
But you can't make that decision though, because you have to follow a process and a procedure. Your procedure is to say the first thing is we need to take down the complaint. So whether I send you that in writing or whether I do that over the telephone, it's not really important. But as long as you understand, the first part is that you have to accept and understand what the complaint is. The second part is then you have to write it up and tell me, is this what you're saying? So if I say to you, quite basically, I can write to you and say, look, this is my complaint, or I can telephone to you. You have to first of all acknowledge that and say, look, this is yes. Is this what you're saying? And that's where the terms of reference comes along, where you say
exactly. But that's when it's a complaint, and we've done that, and I follow that, and then you made your comments about the terms of reference. So I don't have any problem with that, Mr. Hussein. But this is not a complaint.
But how do you know until the terms of reference have been agreed? All right, because what you're doing
is... But the terms of reference are for complaints, and this is not a complaint. This is the bit where we are disagreeing.
How do you know?
Because I'm telling you there is not a complaint because it's farther than a year.
Because all right, let's just hold on a second. If we had done this in a different way, if I had wrote all this down, all right, you had read it all, you had your next process would say, accepting what you've said, we don't accept this as a complaint. That's what would have been the process if I hadn't telephoned you, yes?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it to you.
Yeah, but I've made it quite clear that you have I don't get paid to write things down. In fact, one of the issues I've had in the past is that you're getting me to do your job for you by writing things down. All right, I'm not paid to write things down. That should not be a premise of your policies that the complainant has to write things down.
And that's not in the policy, Mr. Hussein, as you know. It says we accept complaints on the phone. That's never been an issue.
You accept,
and we've been accepting it on the phone, as you know, and then I send you the terms of reference.
Yes, you accept things on the phone, but then just break it down.
Complaints on the phone. This is not a complaint.
At this stage, how do you know it's not a complaint?
Because we just discussed it, and I said it's not a complaint because it's farther than a year.
But the reality is that that's, once again, we've just had this very lengthy discussion regarding that's one of your policies. I'm classifying this as a complaint. Whether you choose to classify it, you have to put in writing to us that according to, you have to then reference your policies. According to our 2006 policy procedure, section 3 of this, we'd identify that this is not a complaint because of this. That gives, and this is your right to appeal. That's how it should be, all right? That if you're not happy with we don't accept this. So there has to be a formal process. You're looking to bypass all that and say, well, no, it's not a complaint, all right? I can come up to you and I can say I've been raped, or I can go to the police and I can say I've been raped. They go, no, we don't accept that. Go on, it's we don't want to accept it because it doesn't fall into our criteria. If it doesn't fall into your criteria, you need to then tell me exactly what policies that you have, what procedures that you have.
I just explained to you, Mr. Hussein.
In writing. I will need it in writing. I need you to reference which policy are you talking about, which section are you talking about, the complaints procedure that it falls outside of, and give me a right to appeal. Because as you can appreciate, the policies and procedures don't always capture everything. For example, why is there this big debate about Brexit? Because obviously Brexit is not a straightforward thing; it's a complicated thing that falls outside of many policies and procedures. And so similarly, this may be one of those examples where you have an opportunity to improve your policies and procedures, and maybe the decision that was made to restrict it to 1 year was incorrect. And maybe
Mr. Hussein, we follow the what the law says, and we also follow the ombudsman. And the ombudsman also deals with 1 year as a time scale. So it's very unlikely that we'll change that, because if the ombudsman considers that a year is quite a, it's a good time to make a complaint, then it's not going to happen.
And the ombudsman can't be wrong.
But Mr. Hussein, if you don't agree with the council, as you know, you are very welcome to go to the ombudsman. But I am telling you, the ombudsman has the same rules.
Okay, all right, I understand. But I like to just now end this aspect of my complaint, because I have a third complaint. All right. So I don't want to take too much time debating with yourself. I've lodged this as a complaint. I would like it to be acknowledged and then responded to with your because first of all, once I lodge a complaint, the next step is to acknowledge it. All right. That an acknowledgement process means either whether you provide the terms of reference or you acknowledge that on this day, on this particular, this is what you've said. Do we understand each other? And then I can say yes, we do, and then subsequently I would request, I would require a response from yourself within maybe 20 days to say yes, we've looked into this matter. We don't, having investigated or having assessed the situation after acknowledgement, we don't accept that this is a formal complaint that we can be dealt with, and we advise you to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what I would expect. If you're not willing to do that, that's up to yourself. Can we just move on?
Absolutely, we've got 4 minutes left, so yes.
Well, once again, is this now in part of the legislation? Is it the law? Is it the law that you only give me half an hour? All right.
No, it's not a law, Mr. Hussein. This is trying to combine my work, my workload, with having to deal with your very continuous calls and emails, yes. I have to say.
But this is as a result, and the reason I'm continuing, I'm not a vexatious individual. I've got better things to do with my life. But then you're continuing to persecute me, you, the local authority, because as I've explained to you, I've lodged complaints. So this is coming to the third part of my complaint, is that because Miss Arcus, you've not spent the night on Friday. You had a day off. I spent that in a prison, in a police custody. All right. So I've spent, and this is probably something you're aware of or you're not aware of, but you've taken a day off from all your hard work dealing with someone like me. My day off is spending 18 hours in a police cell, right? And that is
Mr. Hussein, I am not going to explain why I took the day off. You are assuming that I went on holidays or I had a day off for pleasure. I am not explaining to you why did I take the day off, because exactly, and it's a personal business.
Yes, it's irrelevant. I'm not,
exactly. And the same as I'm not going to ask you why you were in a police station, but I suppose the police would have some reasons to do that.
The reasons are because of you, the local authority. Because as I've explained to you, Najim Salim, as a result of me complaining, what has that resulted? On Thursday, I've complained to you that this is what's happened in the morning. I feel terrorized and traumatized by Najim Salim coming to our house. Subsequently, what's happened is that they've come into my house, they've raided the whole house looking for my mum. I realized that my mum's not here, and then gone. And that's left me traumatized, because Najim Salim wants to see her client, my mum, and then this has resulted in that she's taken the police, come back to the house, tried to break down the door, had me arrested, all right, then had my whole house searched and photographed, and then gone to my sister's house in Oldham, broken her door down with the police, all right, and just looking for my mum. All right, and as a result of this, when she's come in the morning, I'm taking photographs of her and on camera, and she's screaming out to me in my garden while I'm in my bedroom, outside my window, recording her, screaming out to me with her colleagues, "We don't give you permission to record us." All right, and so this is once again as a result of your failure to recognize that even when I'm in my own house, when I'm in my bedroom and your council staff come to my garden and I record them, they're still under the impression that I'm the one that's doing something illegal, that I'm the one that's doing something wrong. All right. So this comes back to why I'm complaining. The police have got nothing to do with this. See, if the police got involved because a member of the public had lodged a complaint about me, then that's a police matter. But this was not a police matter. This was the local authority, Bradford Council, trying to raise a safeguarding issue, getting the police involved, and then terrorizing us. And ultimately, when it comes down to this, so that's an overall thing that's happened, and it's wasted police time, it's wasted everybody's time, and it's terrorized us. My sister's now got a busted door, and considering that we've lodged a complaint about the social worker, and the social workers are still under the impression that if they come into my house, I can't video record them. And they believe that they have the power and the authority to bust down my doors, come into my house, photograph my whole house, and then say that I'm living in a squalor, and that I've been neglecting my family members, whilst you, the local authority, are the ones that are neglecting my family members. So can you understand? This is not a case of where I've gone down to the city, started a fight with somebody, got arrested by the police, and spent the cell regarding this matter. This is all coming back to do with the care and support services that my family are entitled to, which you, the local authority, are neglecting and failing on, and trying to scapegoat onto me. And then ultimately, your senior staff members are under the impression that I am the one that's doing something illegal or unlawful when they come into my house and I'm recording them, and they're screaming out to me from my garden, so my whole neighbors can hear that we don't give you permission to record us.
Okay. So in terms of the complaint, I'm adding that the police went again on Friday with, is it Najum? Did you say
No,
Najum Salim?
they didn't go on Friday. We had an email exchange on Thursday. They came with Najim Salim between 10 and 12 in the morning. Then they returned at 3 o'clock. I was not at home, and then they returned at 3 o'clock. I was not at home, and then at 9 o'clock they pursued this agenda of safeguarding. All right, and then arrested me from my vehicle. All right, took me to police custody, and then went to Oldham, and then busted down my sister's door looking for my mum. And then on Friday, so that was on a Thursday, the last time we spoke, and then on a Friday, what's happened is that Najim Salim has forced a way into my mum's to see my sister and my mum, not explaining to them their rights, starting to interview my mum, starting to interview my sister, trying to get them to make statements against me, so saying the fact that my family are living in squalor, and that I'm unfit to care for them. All our time when you, the local authority, are looking to remove me as holding lasting power of attorney for my mum. On that exact, while you've got court proceedings going on, you're looking to take advantage of your power, and looking to get statements out of people. So that's what's resulted in. So Friday, and the reason that I've been detained for 18 hours rather than simply finding my mum and letting me go is because Najim Salim, along with Nadi Khan Jr., Vasina Brown, have gone to Oldham on Friday and tried to get my sister to make statements against me, which she wouldn't do. Right. So you see that Mr. Arcus, this matter is spiraling out of control because of a failure on the local authorities' part, and you, the local authority, continue to take action against me, and then you're saying I'm the one that's being vexatious in the manner I'm conducting myself by raising complaints. If you would stop persecuting me, I would not then have to reason to complain. If you keep on attacking me and attacking me in my home, and then you're saying, oh, well, you're complaining too much. And so therefore, I'm classifying this, Mr. Arcus, very clearly that before I've lodged in a complaint regarding sexual harassment by the CEO, Kersten England, I'm now classing this as a joint enterprise rape of my household. So I'm classifying this as rape because there was no lawful ground for you to enter my house without a warrant, without enter my sister's house. You've come back, you've traumatized everybody, all in the name of safeguarding and looking to provide us with services. What's that resulted in now? That's just resulted in a further crisis in my household. You, the local authority, have abused your position in power, and obviously traumatized my vulnerable family members, broken down our doors, all right, without proper legal authority, on the escalation that safeguarding, there's a danger to life and limb. My vulnerable family members are being abused. By whom? If my family members are being abused, they're being abused by nobody else other than you, the local authority. So I'm classifying this. This is a complaint directed at not Najim Salim, not Nadia Khan, not by Sina Brown, but Kersten England as attempting to a joint enterprise rape of my household and services, my household and family.
Okay. Sorry, I'm making note.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
yes, I can take this as a complaint.
Okay, all right. Because the reality is that once I have complained against my mum's social worker Alisa Bateson, and subsequently she said I can't talk to you because there's an ongoing complaint. We've been lodging complaints regarding Najim Salim and Annie Bateson since the 14th of February. So there are outstanding complaints. And for them to continue to involve themselves in this situation while the complaints are not even being investigated fully, it's for them to continue to involve themselves. Now, my sisters ended up with a bust front door. Luckily, my door has not been busted. My front door has not been busted because the police had arrested me from the street. But they were looking to kick down my door. But then they've come into my house after they've arrested me and busted my bedroom door down, and then now subsequently taken a photograph of everything. And all this time, I had to spend 18 hours in police custody simply because of neglect and a failure by the health and well-being department of the local authority, of which Kersten England is accountable to. So rather than talk to me, rather than looking to amicably discuss the situation, I had made an appointment with Najim Salim on Wednesday, which I explained I had to cancel. And so because I cancelled an appointment, the full force of the law was put onto me and to fully disenfranchise me further. All because of a systemic failure in you, the council's ability to do your job properly. And rather than following procedures and protocols, you're looking to abuse your position of power and persecute myself because I'm complaining. So as far as I'm concerned, my previous sexual harassment complaint, which was lodged with 2 weeks ago, has been fully validated and vindicated, because subsequently the CEO Kersten England has looked to take it from sexual harassment to full-on rape. Because kicking my door in and trying to gain access when I've clearly explained to everybody that my mum's not here, I classify that as rape.
Sorry, Mr. Hussein, I'm making notes, but I'm getting a bit confused because last time we talked last week, you said that your mum was with you. Are you saying your mum is not with you?
Well, you clearly established that by kicking my door in. Yes, I had to take my mum to my sister because she was not. Irrespective, I don't need to. You don't need to explain to me what you did on your day off or for reasons. Those are personal reasons. I don't need to explain.
No, I'm just pointing out because I'm making note.
Yes.
That in the last conversation, you told me that your mom was there. That's all.
Yes.
I'm not asking you why you moved her or didn't move her, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just seeing the notes from the last conversation. And you mentioned that your mom was there.
When did I mention that?
In the last conversation that we had.
What date was that?
I don't have the. I can tell you. I can put it in the email. Sorry, I don't have access to that computer at the moment, so I can't tell you.
Okay, so you're relying on your memory, and I also take issue with the fact that while I never complain about the locality of my mum, the reason I can't disclose that information to anybody is because presently there are court proceedings underway where you, the local authority, have commissioned the Office of the Public Guardian to have me removed as the lasting power of attorney. So while there's a court case going on, do you understand that I cannot disclose information to you which compromises my case? If you're, do you understand? So the last time I did take note of the fact that you're asking me about the location of my mum, which I have made it very clear to everybody that I will not be disclosing that information to anybody. All right, and if I had disclosed it to you, it was obviously a slip of the tongue. But the reality is that Yeah, I'm not in a position to disclose to you where the location of my mum is. All I can say is that my mum is safe because there's a court proceedings underway that you have subsequently instigated through your partnership with the Office of the Public Guardian. So that's why I can't explain where my mum is. But irrespective, my mum is safe. And and because as part of those court proceedings, one of the court legal processes is that the legal papers have to be handed to my mum, and those can't be handed to my mum if they don't know where my mum is. Okay, and so this is what this whole case is about. It's not about me neglecting my mum or anybody like this. It's regarding the underlying reason why Najim Salim has done this is because of this court case. Because if there was any safety regards to my mum, they should have been raised in November when you put me back into prison. There was no safeguarding then. There was no police knocking down my door when potentially my mum would have been on her own while I was in prison. So the local authority didn't choose to act then when they should have done. All right, that was back in November when I was in prison. But now, subsequently, when I'm released, you're like, and I'm ringing people up and asking to talk to them. They don't want to talk to me. But now, when this case is going before the courts, before the court of protection, that you're now busting down our doors trying to find out where a person is. So it's the timing, Miss Arcus, and I mentioned to you previously in my sexual harassment complaint, it's all to do with timing. It's all to do with your ability to get leverage over us, the family, in order to strengthen your position, the local authorities' position. So this is the reason. The reason that the police were called is because I cancelled the meeting. That's it. All right, because had the meeting proceeded, they would have looked to get my mum, get the police involved then, and have me removed and look to engage my mum so they can give her legal paperwork. Because as part of this process of you removing me as the lasting power of attorney, you the local authority, court papers have to be hand delivered to my mum. And because you the local authority didn't know where my mum is, or we wouldn't give you access, you then look to take power into your own hands and abuse your processes through malfeasance and kick down our door on the pretext that it's to do with safeguarding. It's got nothing to do with safeguarding. No member of the public has complained or lodged a complaint with the police. It's the social workers that have lodged the complaint and are now acting as members of the public and reporting my mum as a missing person. We as a family have not reported my mum as a missing person. No member of the public has reported my mum as a missing person. And this is exactly what happened in December 14th when my family members were being reported to the police as missing persons. They were only being reported as missing persons by you, the council, because you, the council, needed to gain access at a time when you are pursuing your legal case against them. Does that make sense?
It does, Mr. Hussein, but I'm afraid that it's now 45 minutes since we started the conversation, so I think we need to wrap up.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, I can't accept the first complaint that you tried to make, but I will add the last one about what happened on Friday as part of the terms of reference that we have ongoing. So I will amend the terms of reference and I'll send them back to you as we normally do. And if you let me know that you are happy with that,
obviously, I understand. If it's been 45 minutes, can you understand that I've spent 18 hours? So what's your 45 minutes compared to my 18 hours being incarcerated? And this is all as a result of continuous nefarious action by the local authority. So please, I'm sorry that it's taken 45 minutes for me to clearly express myself to you. But the reality is that how much time and money and public resources have been wasted in this enterprise that was commissioned by the local authority on a Thursday and Friday. It's wasted a lot of public money. My car had to be compounded. Over £200 has been spent by the police to release that, which ultimately my family are going to have to end up paying. I've got a busted door. I've had all my privacy and liberty taken away from me. My whole house has been photographed, so evidence could be collated that I was living in squalor and my family are being vulnerable. I'm abusing my family by neglecting them, when the reality is that my family were not even here. And my mum was in Oldham, and that's resulted in my sister having her door broken down. My sister herself has mental health problems, which now she's going to receive support for, and is struggling to cope with the situation. So this is a crisis. that you've created, you the local authority have created, and now you're saying to us, well, let's go through our procedures which we've created, which are for our benefit, and that helps save us money while we continue to abuse and persecute me and my family who are entitled to support services which you're failing to provide.
Well, I think that was the whole point. They couldn't, if your mom wasn't there, they couldn't provide the services.
They were not looking. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Arcus. Like I said, you're second guessing now. All right, they've not been providing services to my family since October, November, and the services that they were providing were not fit for purpose. I've had to lodge much more of my time and resources in order to lodge complaints about the services that were not fit for purpose. Those services should have only been coming in for 6 to 8 weeks, and they continue to provide the support services. They didn't have the language skills. They didn't have the appropriate cultural understanding of my family's background, but will continue to do so they can have a tick box. I had to eventually lodge the best services to the CQC, who have not got back to me. But the reality is that you are not in a position to provide any kind of support service to us. I'm getting complaints regarding your care staff are complaining to me regarding the failure of your support services. So quite clearly, you're not in a position, you, the local authority, not even in a position to provide appropriate support services. It has taken you over a year to even identify an agency, which is the main issue that I've had with Miss Bateson, my mum's social worker. That, all right, let's just say for argument's sake, you want to provide the services. Can you provide them services right now? And the issue is that no, we can always do it through BEST, and BEST is not fit for purpose. You've got no agencies involved. Basically, you're not in a position to provide support services. I am providing those support services, and as you know, Mr. Arcus, I am invoicing you, the local authority, on a private commissioning basis. All right, because you're not in a position to do your job, which you have a duty of care to as a local authority, which you get money from central government for, and because of your systemic failures and endangering my family's life, I'm now having to provide those support services through my own limited resources, and I'm invoicing you on a weekly basis with regards to those support services.
Okay, Mr. Mephisto was saying I need to finish the call.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes, we've covered we've covered everything I needed to cover today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Your messages. 1. To change your personal options, you have 5. New messages. 0. Saved messages. To listen to today's messages, press 1. To listen.
Hi, Shazad. It's Fungai. I'm calling from CTCMHD. I'm just ringing regarding Talib, just to arrange an appointment to come and see him on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. If it's not suitable, if you could let us know, then we can reschedule later on this week to another day. So Wednesday, it will be the 6th of March at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Bye.
To listen to the next message, press 1. You have listened to all your messages. To listen to your messages, press 1. You have
4.
New messages.
1.
Saved messages. To listen to today's messages, press 1. To listen to your new messages, to listen to the next message, press 1.
हेलो इशराक है जी जिला तू फकीर कर रहे हैं हमारा मैसेज सुन के फोन करियो कि बाय खुदा हाफिज.
To listen to the next message, press 1.
Hello, it's Janet from Bradford Hospitals on 01274 365813. I'm just ringing to let you know that your brother's records are now ready to collect. Could you give me a call so we can arrange a collection time? I'll be in the office today until 4:30. Failing that, I'm back in on Monday morning from 9 a.m. onwards. Sorry to have missed you. Bye.
To listen to the next message, press 1. To listen to the next message, press 1. You have listened to all your messages.